don't know what I'm gonna do when pumpkin is no longer in season. Like, what do I drink in winter? I honestly couldn't tell you. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Hi, my name is Liz, and in today's video we are going to be talking about the books that I want to read by the end of 2025. I know a lot of people do this video a little bit closer to the end of the year. I feel like a lot of people do going into the winter season. They'll post like what books they want to read before the end of the year, but I want to post mine now because I feel like I want to have the time and the wiggle room to read these books while also still reading the books that I pick in my seasonal TBRs. Most of these books are books that I put in my 25 books in 2025 video. So I will have that video linked at the end of this video if you want to watch that, if you're curious about what books I was trying to read this year. Majority of these books are that, and then I have a couple other ones like series that I want to complete. So let's just go ahead and talk about them. First up, we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I really want to read this in the winter. This will be a part of my winter TBR, so I'm really excited because I do feel like I'll actually get this done by the end of the year, or at least fingers crossed, I'm hoping. I have heard so much hype about Kristen Hanna. I haven't read a single one of her books. I know they're so highly raved and talked about. That's part of the reason why I put it on my 25 books in 2025. This is historical fiction, which I read a historical fiction, Librarians of Lisbon, this past February. So it was a bit at the very beginning of the year. And I really enjoyed it. And it makes me want to read more historical fiction because I used to really enjoy historical fiction when I was in middle or high school. I am very excited to read this, and it will be a part of my winter TBR. The next book I have on that list is A Tribute of Fire by Saraya Wilson. I haven't heard anybody talk about this book. It is romantasy, so that is part of my hesitation on why I haven't read it yet. Mainly because, first of all, yes, have not heard anybody talk about it. Second of all, I have a million romantasies on my TBR at the moment, so trying to squeeze this in by the end of the year might be impossible. I don't know, but I'm still going to put it at like the forefront of my brain, so that way hopefully I actually get to it. I also don't know if it's a standalone or if this is the beginning of a series. If it's the beginning of a series, if it's like a duology, I can do that. But if it's the beginning of a series, I don't know. I might not read it by the end of the year because I really don't want to commit to any more series right now. I just want to complete some and like go into the next year starting fresh with some like new books and new authors. The next book is Rachel Weisz's Group Chat by Lauren Applebaum. I feel like I could knock this out very easily. It is a shorter like romance book, and I feel like this is just like a very fun, easy read that I could squeeze in at some point, especially going into the winter season when it's like very dark and gloomy. I feel like this would be just a nice breath of fresh air. The next book I have is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I've read a few books by Adrienne Young and I've really enjoyed them. She does a really great job with like YA fantasy, and this one is more like magical realism, and it has to do with like time travel, and it's got a little bit of a mystery element. So I don't know, I'm very excited to read it. I feel like it's gonna be very moody, and I've also heard really good things about this book and this story. So I definitely want to read this by the end of the year. It is a shorter story as well, so that helps, but I think maybe sometime in November or like going into December I might read this. Next up we have Starter Villain by John Scalzi. I really want to read this by the end of the year. Mainly because of the cat on the cover, like that's amazing. But I definitely want to read this because I feel like it's just a fun sci-fi. It is a shorter read, so I feel like this would be really easy to squeeze in, and I feel like I can also just have a lot of fun with this one. It is about a man who takes over his uncle's supervillain business. Sign me up. Next, we have The Push by Ashley Audrain. I really want to read this by the end of the year, mainly because it was so highly talked about a few years ago. This one is about motherhood and like the darker sides of motherhood, like postpartum. I think this one will also make me question like what is real and what is not real. So I'm very excited about this one. I do think once again, this is a moodier book. So I think going into the winter season, this would be a great one to pick up. Next, we have Vox by Christina Dalcher. This is a dystopian world where women have a limited amount of words that they can speak every day. I know this has a lot of Handmaid's Tale vibes. I think just like throwing in a fun dystopian by the end of the year sounds like a great time. I don't read a ton of dystopian books, even though it was one of my favorite genres growing up. I definitely want to read this. Next up, we have Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is another book I added mainly because of the hype that's surrounding this book. I also just really want to read something by this author as well, and because I know this author has a few other books that are highly raved about as well. So this is following two childhood friends who design a video game together, and it takes place like throughout their lives. The next three books are all in the same trilogy, and that is the Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber trilogy. I've had these books for way too long. These have been on my physical TBR for way too long. I read the Caraval trilogy and really enjoyed it. I love how magical and lyrical her writing is because I feel like I'm actually there. Like I can picture just the magic in this like world that she's created for us. And this is a spin-off of that series, and it follows Jax and Evangeline, I think, and it's their story. And I remember Jax in the Caraval trilogy. I loved his character. So I definitely want to read this trilogy at some point. I don't know if I'll get to this one by the end of the year. I would love to, but I'm just being realistic with myself. I may or may not get to this one, but I'm gonna try my best. And the next 3 books, once again, another trilogy, is the Daughter of No World trilogy, or the War of Lost Hearts trilogy by Carissa Broadbent. This is another romantasy book. These are thicker books. That's part of the reason why I haven't started this year yet, because it feels like once I start it, I'm not gonna want to stop, and that is a lot of books. But we shall see. I think this will definitely be on my winter TBR, so maybe I can knock this out at the beginning of winter. And the last 4 books that I'm going to talk about, these are all a part of series, or one of them is not, but the other ones are. The first one is Silver Cloak by L.K. Stephen. I've heard amazing things about this book, and when I heard about this book, I knew I needed to buy it. I actually bought this one and A Dance of Lies at the same time, and I read A Dance of Lies, gave it 4 stars, really enjoyed it, and so now I need to get to this one. I bought it, I want to say like a month or 2 ago, so it's not like it's been on my TBR for super long, but just because of the hype I've heard about this book really makes me want to read it. It's another romantasy book. I think it focuses more on the fantasy element than the romance, but I'll still eat up any crumbs of romance. The magic system, it involves wands, so they do carry wands, which I think will be interesting because the only books that I have heard of / read are like the Harry Potter series where they have wands. So I'm curious how that's gonna go in this fantasy world, if it's gonna like cringe me out a little bit or if I'm gonna enjoy it. I don't know. The next 3 books are all a part of series, like I said, that I really want to complete by the end of this year. First one is Fearless by Lauren Roberts. I actually got this copy from my really good friend Lauren. I've read the other 3, is it 3? 2 books with the novella in between. I read those and I have loved the series, and I need to know what the conclusion is. And the final 2 books that are part of series that I would love to finish and read by the end of this year is I would love to finish the Lightlark series. So I read Lightlark a few years ago. I really enjoyed it. I thought the ending was a little rushed, but I really liked the world that we were in and the characters we were following. I've been waiting to continue the series because I wanted all of her books to be out and then just to like binge them all at the same time. So I have the second book, Nightbane, and then the third book, Skyshade. I did buy the companion novel, Woro and Grimm special edition that just released. I have that as well. And then I know her final book, Crown Tide, comes out beginning of December. So I really, really want to start reading this series. Maybe I'll read it sometime in November, so that way I'm ready for when the final book comes out and I can buy that and complete this series. Fingers crossed, hopefully that actually works out. You guys can't even see how many books are in this stack because it goes out of frame. Those are all the books that I would love to finish by the end of this year. There are a couple other books that were in my 25 books of 2025 that I just know I'm not gonna get to, like A Little Life. I started that and I DNF'd it. And then also Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams. That's another one. I never bought it, so it's not like it's been sitting on my physical TBR, so I don't feel as bad about that one. But the rest of them, since I do have actual copies of them, I do want to make an effort and actually get these knocked off my TBR. Also, I've heard amazing things, so I might be finding some of like my favorite books of the year in this stack. So I definitely want to give them my time and attention before the end of this year. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed watching me show you all the books that I still have yet to read from my books in 2025 video. Yeah, I think total, how many books is that? 1, 2, 14? 14 books, and I'm not including Hairpin Bridge or Little Life. So at least I read a chunk. I read a decent amount from that list, just not enough. But once again, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.